Was it clear right away this was a self-inflicted gunshot wound, or was there time that went by, the school was being evacuated, that you thought you might have someone on loose?
Obviously, we handle these better safe than sorry. Our main concern on something like this is obviously the safety of the students. So we looked at it as an active shooter situation at first, locked it down to see if that was a possibility. Immediately, it did not appear to be so.
And is there any grief counseling set up?
We are currently working on our counseling plan for the rest of the week and going forward from that. But I will tell you, we had amazing support from the Stillwater community. We have counselors from Career Tech. We have counselors from OSU. Of course, we have our own Stillwater Public Schools counselors who were on site immediately. And we had students at 2 different locations just because school hadn't started yet. And so the counselors were dispersed to both of those areas to work with the students at that time. When the conference is over, we'll be meeting again to figure out our plan going forward.
Superintendent, parents say
about the
that they don't know what to tell their children who saw this. What advice would you give them?
That's going to be something they're going to work continuously with through the counselors and faculty, and there'll be things put in place to help them. I'm not qualified to say that. Obviously, this is a very isolated incident, and Stillwater's been extremely lucky in that we haven't had an incident of this type. I think that speaks to the community and the safety of the schools in general, but obviously a horribly tragic situation, and we're just going to have to work it out the best we can as we go forward.
And I'm a mother. My children are grown, OSU grads. And so if they were still at home and this had happened to one of their classmates, we would pray. We'd pray for that child and that family. And
Ms. Kane, is there anything else that you can tell us about the student? You mentioned he was a good student. Anything else? Any other details about, I don't know, academics, sports, anything like that?
I don't know anything about his extracurricular. Part of the tough part is we've only been in school 6 weeks. So, and he was an 8th grader, which means our junior high is just grades 8 and 9. So it really wasn't long enough for him to probably get acclimated. It's a lot different than if it had been a 9th grader. They would have been there for a while. But in talking to some of the staff that knew him, they loved his red hair and his smile. They said he had the biggest smile.
Superintendent, no metal detectors at the school. Any thought, is it too early to even tell whether you will have metal detectors in the school?
You know, we're still in the midst of trying to wrap our minds around the tragedy and taking care of our students and our staff that were witnessing that or that just knew him. So obviously the metal detector question, that'll be something that we'll talk about pretty quickly probably about, is that something that we need to do in our schools?
Do you have a photograph of Peyton you can release so we can now?
We do not.
There have been reports that he was wearing a costume of some kind, as were other students commenting.
Right, and this week Stillwater is doing Pink Out Week in honor of cancer awareness. So at the junior high, every day this week they've had a different theme on how to dress up. And so today's theme was the superhero theme. And I'm not sure what he was wearing this morning. I don't know what he had on, but today was school-wide superhero day.
What are the plans for the students tomorrow as far as classes go?
We're still discussing that because obviously there's some things that need to happen at the site before we can return to the building. So we'll probably send out a release to you all later this afternoon. We're going to meet as soon as you're finished with us and talk about when school going to resume at the junior high. And we will let you all know. We'll notify you.
Superintendent, can you give us a description of exactly where in the building that this happened? In the hallway, was it near classrooms or lockers or a restroom? Can you give us a description on that?
I might let the captain do that one.
There's a hallway that exits to the east to a sidewalk and small parking lot area there. And there was a couple of classrooms right inside that building, and it was in a hallway area of lockers right in that classroom area.
And can you say how many other students or faculty were around at that time, or an estimate, please?
I could only assume. It was right before classes started, so being in that school before, I would assume the hallways had plenty of kids and faculty in them.
So it's safe to say that others did see this?
Yes.
A good chance that...
Unfortunately, yes.
How many students attend the school?
Currently, it's about 750, 760 students between the two grades,
And you said it's 7th and 8th graders that attend.
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th.
Correct.
Did you say his name was Cade Hollis?
Poulos.
It's Poulos.
How do you say his last name? Cade?
Poulos.
Have you talked to his parents? How are they doing?
I have not personally. I know that parental notifications have been made. We tried to expedite that as much as we could today, and the reason was twofold. Obviously, we want to make notification to the parents, but we also wanted to be able to release the name of the victim so other parents who heard about this would know that their children were not involved. So we tried to do that as soon as we could this morning.
Do you know if at any time was there any threat to any other students?
We don't have any information to indicate that at all.
So no information. It could have been, but you don't know.
The investigation's still ongoing. I've certainly not heard that from any of my detectives at the scene. Anything else?
It was a handgun.
Yes.
Do you know what kind?
We're not releasing any of the intimate details like that right now.
Do you know who's going to what?
We're not releasing anything else about that right now.
What you know about the scene at the school afterwards, I'd imagine it'd be pretty chaotic with the students running out of the school. I mean, how was that whole
That's a great question and something I'd like to speak on. We have a great partnership with the school system here, and we have a school resource officer that's actually employed and on school grounds. We unfortunately plan for things like this, hope they never happen, and then they happen. By the time I got there, within 10 minutes, our patrol officers had already secured the scene with school staff. Horribly tragic situation, but the teachers were monitoring hallways, making sure people didn't come in and out. The officers had everything locked down. The school resource officer had kids and teachers in their classrooms, and under the circumstances couldn't have been moving more efficiently and safely for all the students and everyone involved. I was just incredibly impressed with that under such stressful situation.
What time does school begin, and exactly what time did this incident occur?
School begins at 8 o'clock, and we think it was around 7:50.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Randy,
you.
How do you spell your last name? Sorry, Randy. Is it D-I-C-K-E-R
We will be
or
communicating with
something?
you guys later today and via email, and keep in touch on our website, and we'll keep you guys posted and let you know as far as a future press conference and any more information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.